Hey friends, welcome back to another installment of the Live with Audacity podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Stewart, and you're listening to episode number 24. Okay, parents, I need everyone to gather around and listen up. We have a crisis on our hands, and it involves our precious children. Look, most of us grew up in the age where technology was just starting to become a thing, right? We had AOL names, and there were chat rooms. And our parents had no idea how to protect us from this stuff. But guys, it's been over 20 years since then, and there hasn't been a whole lot of technology to help parents like you and me protect our kids from the online world, and more than that, from online predators. Remember that article that went viral on Facebook a few months ago with the 37-year-old mom who posed as an 11-year-old girl named Bailey on Instagram and got floods of messages and videos and questions from adult men? Well, the company behind this ongoing task of catching the predators is Bark, an award-winning service founded in 2015 by a parent who was looking for a way to help keep his kids safe online while preserving their privacy. Bark covers 30 plus of today's most popular social media platforms, as well as text, chat, email, YouTube, and files contained in Google Drive and OneDrive. Bark also monitors images, text within images, audio, and video. I had the true honor to speak with Titania Jordan, their chief parenting officer, to follow up on the story and ask some serious questions. After I read the article, I felt so entirely helpless and like my 11-year-old is never getting a phone. So pull up a stump around the campfire, friends, because we have a ton to dig into. And I say this often, but for real, get a notepad out and take some notes because this is serious stuff. Listening to the Live with Audacity podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Stewart. Audacity is defined by Merriam-Webster as intrepid boldness or disregard for normal constraints. And that's exactly what we have here. The Live with Audacity podcast is aimed at giving you the courage to explore your someday dreams, do things your way, and start making things happen in your life right now. I'm a mama to 4 kiddos ranging from college student to kindergartner, wife to a high school football and track coach, and a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Together with my guests, we're going to teach you how to live with audacity and intentionality, discover and utilize your unique skills and talents, and step into who you are meant to be in order to make your someday dreams a reality. Are you ready? Here we go. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning back into the Live with Audacity podcast. I am so incredibly excited about today's episode. Today I have Titania Jordan. She is the CMO of Bark, which is an internet safety app for kids. Hey Titania, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited that you guys agreed to this interview because I just know that this subject is very touchy and very emotionally charged. And so I really wanted to meet with you guys and get some more information. About 2 months ago, there was that incredible article that Sloan put out regarding, portraying Bailey, which was an 11-year-old on Instagram, and
Yeah.
fielding the crazy messages and videos and texts and things like that from grown men. And it rattled the internet. It, it literally
Oh,
rattled the internet.
it-
Um,
you're not kidding. Close to the tune of 7 million views.
so crazy. And so my husband and I were actually talking about this, and this is one of the things that and in just a second, I'll get you to go into Bark and kind of tell us a little bit more about it. But my husband and I were talking about it, and of course, every parent that read this was just like totally floored that this is like that it's out there, but you don't realize how big it is. And I guess my point to him was like, the craziest thing is that you just never, ever, ever know who is doing this sort of thing. It could be literally anyone. It could be the people, standing next to you in church. So, or anywhere, the grocery store, wherever. Um, so tell us a little bit about Bark and how it came to be, and then we'll dive into the story.
Absolutely. So, real quick before I talk about Bark and how it came to be, I want to make sure we don't forget about something very important you just said, which is that it truly can be anybody. The one thing that is a constant is that they're always male. You think there might be some female predators, but they're always male. That comes from sources and law enforcement that have confirmed that for me. But the second thing
Wow.
is that you truly never know who it is. It's not just the token stereotypical 45-year-old man living in his mother's basement who perhaps has issues. They are very smart. They have medical degrees. They are dentists. They are lawyers. They are teachers. They are pastors. Um, they are men that have families, that have children of their own, that love dogs and volunteer in the community. And that's what's so chilling about this, is that it literally could be anyone. And how are you to know? How are you to know who it is if you're not using a solution like Bark? And so now, circling back to that initial question of
Yeah.
what is Bark and how did it come to be? Um, Bark is technology that keeps children safer online and thankfully in real life. It uses artificial intelligence to scan social media platforms 4 times more than any other solution on the market, in fact, text messages and email. And when it detects problematic content and people, it will then send you an alert via text and email, not only with the problem, what happened, what was said, where it took place, but also best recommended next steps for how to address. And we're talking about issues like cyberbullying, sexual content, thoughts of suicide and depression, potential drug use, online predators, and acts of violence. It is, it's not something that you think will likely happen to your child, but then you take a look at our data. And our data comes from monitoring close to 5 million children across the nation. And that data will tell you otherwise. How Bark came to be, our CEO, Brian Basin, who's a dad of 2, was actually working at Twitter at the time. And so he's really smart. He totally understands the world of social and tech and then now parenting. And his oldest son was given an iPod Touch, and he looked at it and was like, I need to lock this thing down. And as he started to dig in, he realized, wow, there is no good way to keep my own son safer online. And I know all the things about tech and
Right.
social. And really, the only way for me to do this is going to be incredibly cumbersome. It's going to be a time suck for me, and it's going to be invasive into our relationship and my ability to help him become a responsible digital native. So he left Twitter, like the Twitter, and started Bark. I know, right? That's a big decision there. So,
Wow.
and that was almost 5 years ago. And fast forward to today, we were literally just on Good Morning America this morning. They were covering this predator project that has really struck a nerve with America.
Yes, I completely agree, which is totally the reason that I reached out to you. Um, I have so many questions.
I am
Okay,
here for you. Ask
I'm so
away.
excited about it. Okay, so do boys typically get similar responses like like Bailey did in the story that circulated online?
They do. We currently do not have someone on our team that can pose as an underage boy. If we did, we probably would have uh, chosen to do that experiment as well. But yes, it is affecting boys as well as girls. If you look at the macro stats just around childhood sexual abuse, regardless of where it takes place, online or in real life, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18. That is a fact, and it is horrifying. And it's something that I don't think enough people know about or talk about. And so then you give them access to devices that give the world access to them 24/7, 365. And I think that stat becomes exponentially greater.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so mind-blowing. Um, yeah, I love that you said that Brian thought, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be such a time suck and so cumbersome to deal with." And I feel like that's the reason that a lot of us parents, at least I know for me, it's just like, man, it's just one more thing to have to deal with, but it's so, so, so important. So tell us how Bark helps us do that because it just seems like way too overwhelming to even start to take on alone.
It's so incredibly overwhelming. I mean, our parents had to worry about a lot, stranger danger, Halloween candy being laced with LSD, bicycle accidents, sneaking out of the house and getting drunk at parties. That's some serious stuff. It's also stuff that really existed for a very, very long time. Fast forward to today, we are the first generation of parents that have to deal with all of that and then parenting in the tech world. And so every parent today, if they're listening, is probably just like, yes, yes, what do we do? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know what you do. No, I'm kidding. I actually have some answers. The answers are, first, you have to have ongoing, open and honest conversations with your children, starting at a very, very young age, much younger than you think you need to. And full disclosure, I don't think we addressed this in the beginning, but I am not just someone who works at this tech company. I'm a mom. I have an 11-year-old son. So I am right here in this with all of you. And from a very early age, I would talk to him about how screens affect his brain. I wouldn't just say, no more screen time for you. I would say, hey, did you know that the light from this device stimulates the same part of your brain as ice cream and sugar, and it can make you want more and more of it, and that's called addiction. And so we as a family are going to be in control. We're not going to let these devices control us. We control them. And then he would start to, lose it a little bit when I would tell him it was time to stop gaming. I would be like, oh, no, 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 no. That's the screen controlling you. You need to control it. And it actually helped to
That is
deflect.
so genius really
Well,
quick. That is
well,
so genius because then it's like you're not putting it as like it's your fault. It is, of course, but you're not making it all about how they can't control themselves and they don't have self-control or whatever. It's like, no, this is built to do this and
yes.
it's not you being, unstable or crazy or not having self control, like this is an actual thing that becomes an addiction. So I love that you said that to him.
Well, and kids want control, and kids will test you you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and so it does eliminate that friction of because I said so, and more of like, do you want control? Well, this is how you gain control. So that
Yeah.
was just really helpful, especially for my personal family dynamic. Um, then it was a conversation around. Not only do screens enable addictive behaviors, but they affect your sleep. And you, as a child, need more sleep than anybody on the planet. Your body is growing so fast, and it's not just growing in size, but it's also growing internally. Organs are being repaired, brain neurons are being, connected, and there's just so much that happens while your body sleeps. You need as much of it as possible. And if you're on a screen after a certain time of night, you're not going to sleep. And then you're not going to grow, and you're not going to be healthy, and you're not going to be happy, and you're not going to be as smart or sharp as you could have been. So again, it starts with very objective conversations around what these devices do to our bodies. Um, then we get into some more of the dangers, less of the physiological aspects, but um, hey, did you know that not everybody online and the places you hang out are who they say they are? There are tricky people out there that don't have the best intentions. And so, you don't have to start talking to your 6-year-old about online predators and sexual abuse, but you can talk about tricky people. And then embed in their brain the concept of not only a digital footprint, but also PII, which stands for personally identifiable information. Let them know that they need to keep that stuff close to the vest. Just like nobody needs to see certain parts of your body unless it's, your pediatrician or your parent or caregiver. Nobody needs to know your name, your date of birth, where you live, where you go to school, where you play sports. None of that. Do not share any of that online. And especially if somebody's asking for it, that's a big red flag. So it's really a new version of stranger danger that you've got to introduce to your children.
Wow.
I could go on, but I've been talking a lot. And I want to make sure
No. I love this. I'm over
Okay.
here like shaking my head like, "Oh, wow," and I'm taking notes furiously.
Okay.
Um,
Because there's
um,
more.
yeah, I don't doubt that at all. I I'm so interested and I'll let you go and let you talk because I'm actually caught right there in the middle. My daughter is 5, my son is 11, and then of course I have older kids that, they were the first really of their generation to get phones when they were young. We actually gave our kids, I don't even know what we were thinking honestly, but we gave our kids phones at 9 and 12. And they literally became zombies. And so we took them back away from them, and they didn't get them back for like 3 years. And it was one of the best decisions that we ever made, and we've never really super monitored them, but the older kids, but we always made their put their phone up at night and things like that. Um my son is 11 and he keeps asking us for a phone, and we're like, heck no. No way. Last year he had girls texting my phone from school. And I was like, what in the wide world? These girls were so bold saying crazy things. I was like, if you had your own phone, that would just be no, not good. So what is an appropriate age right now to let our kids have phones? Is there kind of a guideline for that right now?
Oh my gosh, that is the number one question I get no matter where I am. And the answer is not easy because it truly depends on the child and your family dynamic and values. Every child develops at a different rate. They don't all potty train at the same time. They don't all sleep through the night at the same time, and they're not all ready for a smartphone at the same time. Also, your family dynamic can dictate perhaps the need for a phone earlier than usual. For example, if there is a dual family household, and when you're at one parent's house, you want to be able to communicate with the other one any time of the day or night. So, in addition to that, certain health issues like allergies or autism, even, there are reasons and ways that tech can actually help enhance the parent-child relationship at an earlier age. That said, you have to know what is happening on that device, what its capabilities are, what the parental control options are, and then what the parental monitoring options are before you hand that over. You wouldn't let your kid ride a bike without a bicycle helmet. You don't let them ride a car without a seatbelt. You don't let them drive a car without driver's ed. Don't give them a smartphone without doing the necessary work. Once you have become familiar with the variety of options you have, for example, my son now has an iPhone. He cannot download any app he wants to whenever he wants to. I have to approve it. I do that through Apple Family Sharing, which is a free offering that they give to iOS families. I have set restrictions so that he cannot access explicit content. Now, caveat there, it's not 100% fail proof. Apple has an algorithm and indications that can help steer children away from NC-17 and X-rated content. But again, nothing's fail safe, which is why I also have Bark connected to his phone so it can alert me. One example of that is, people are getting spam these days via their cell phone numbers, and it's really frustrating. And my son received a spam text with a hyperlink soliciting erectile medication.
Awesome.
It literally said to him, "Hey, want to make your penis 2 to 3 inches larger?" He's 11, and so I was pissed. And
Yeah.
thankfully, Bark sent me an alert, let me know what happened, so I could talk to him about it if he didn't talk to me about it. But what was even more just kind of serendipitous is that he took a screenshot of the text, texted me, and said, Mom, someone sketchy is texting me. How do I block him? And that was so beautiful to me because it showed me that he felt comfortable enough to talk to me about awkward things. And he was thinking about how to take action. Like, what do I do about this? And it was incredible. And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's, obviously, very indicative of the groundwork that you had done talking to him about, sketchy people or tricky people online. That's it's so refreshing to know that your kid is hearing you and not just going in one ear and out the other. How do we make sure? Okay, this is what I want to ask. What does
okay,
Bark help us do? And how
okay.
do we use that?
Yes. So real quick, just a overview of the landscape. There are parental controls and there is parental monitoring. So parental controls control the amount of screen time your child can have and when they can have it, and limit or block access to certain websites or apps, etc. Then there's parental monitoring, and that's what Bark does. Bark will scan all of the things that your kid is encountering, all the communications that are taking place across all the social media and texting and email and browsing. It's like a little bot. It's artificial intelligence. So it's constantly working and running and analyzing. When your child has encountered problematic content, it will then send you an alert. So you can implement all the parental controls you want to. You can say no screen time after 10 p.m. and no, access to R-rated content, and no, they can't download apps for 17 plus, etc. But eventually, because it's the internet and because they are tech savvy, they will stumble upon something. And so that's why Bark is that safety net to let you know so that you can have those conversations.
Okay, so what do we do if we find something like what do we do if we find someone is messaging our kid after they posted a picture on Instagram or something like that? Obviously, if it's a text message or something like that, you can block the sender. But how do we? And you can block people on Instagram as well, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, what's the next action that we take if someone is reaching out to our kid? Um, to ask these questions or to start grooming them, I guess we should say.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. It circles back to what we were touching on in the beginning about this piece that went viral. And it was so eye-opening to parents because it helped them to see that even if their child has a private Instagram account and they are not friends with the predator, predators can still contact your children. Anyone can send a message to you on Instagram, even if your account is private. It goes to your other folder and your direct messages, and you can either choose to open it or not, but it doesn't prevent them from sending it to you. And what's really frustrating is that Instagram recently released two features actually, but the one specific to this is the ability to toggle off DM receipt. Well, let's say you are a tech savvy parent, you talk to your kid, you look at their Instagram account with them, you show them how to toggle that DM off. 10 minutes later, they're in their bedroom and they have turned it back on. You're just, as a parent, you feel powerless, and
Right.
Instagram needs to do more. Not only that, but they recently announced that they are going to require, birth dates to be entered for people creating accounts. But again, children can add. Children are toggling their birth year to be the year 2000 so that they appear to be a 20-year-old on the platform. And
Right.
there you go. So, really, back to your original question is that what do? You take a screenshot so that the evidence doesn't disappear because you can send disappearing messages. You report it to law enforcement because they are very keenly aware of what is happening to children on social media, and they have the tools to deal with it. And then once they give you the green light, then you block and report to the social media platform. It's very important that you don't reverse those last two steps because given the nature of the social media platforms and just how big they are and how many of these issues they're dealing with every hour, they could potentially flag that account or block that account, signaling to that predator like, oh, hey, something's up, somebody's reported me. Then they go dark And then law enforcement has no way to get in touch with them other than subpoena the social media platform, which may or may not end well. And that person's, halfway across the world. So very important that you screenshot, report, then once given the green light, move forward.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have never really thought, I would have never thought that I should wait for law enforcement to give me the green light to go ahead and report them to the platform. That's wow. Okay. I'm glad that you said that. And that's really, really valuable information. What if the kid makes a new account and we don't, it's a new secret account. We don't have their, the access to their new account. How do we handle that?
Yeah. So if you have Bark as a service for your family, we can alert you when your child has created a secondary or tertiary Instagram account or other accounts. And the way that we're able to do that is because in order to create an account now with a social media platform, you either have to give them a phone number or an email address. And that is one signal to our algorithm that, hey, there's a new account being created. It'll alert you as a parent to say, hey, it looks like Johnny has a new or second Instagram account. You should talk to him about connecting it. Another way that we can let you know about that is we have in the dashboard, in your child dashboard, recently or newly installed apps. So if you don't have it set up to where you have to approve every app download that your child downloads, Bark can alert you that they've downloaded a new app. In addition to that, if you get your usage report and see that all of a sudden Instagram goes to 0 and they're on Instagram at least a little bit a day, that's also an indication that, hey, they might have another Instagram account that I just don't have connected yet. If you don't have Bark and you actually look at your child's Instagram account, when you're on their profile, at the very top, it'll say their username. You tap on it. And if it drops down other accounts, that's a clear indication right there that they are toggling between more than one account. And on that note, it's not abnormal for children to have multiple accounts. They have one account maybe for just their close circle of friends where they can be real, be themselves, share the big zit on their face or whatever, and then they might have a more public facing account that's for the parents and the teachers and the college admissions director who might be looking for what they have on social. But then there might be that tertiary account, that third account that might be used to communicate with love interest or just experiment with creativity. And anyway, it's a lot, because parents need more work, right? We need more things to do. We don't have enough to do.
Totally.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, this is good stuff, right? I wanted to jump in here real fast to remind you about the Live with Audacity 30-day challenge we've got going on right now. We are having so much fun. This weekend, we went out and told the waiter it was our birthday, and last week we took cold showers. Oh man, it's been so much fun to watch people step out of their comfort zone and have fun with it. It's not too late to get in on all the goodness. If you have ever even once thought to yourself, oh gosh, what will they think if I do this? Spoiler alert, we have all thought that. Then get in on this challenge. I promise you will have a blast and I won't make you kill anyone. You won't regret it, I promise. All you have to do is join the group, the Live with Audacity Podcast Insiders on Facebook. Should be pretty easy to remember, but just in case, one more time, the Live with Audacity Podcast Insiders on Facebook. I'll see you there. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what is Bark doing? I know that Bark is doing a lot of work to help change some laws as far as with platforms and things like that. What are you guys working on right now? And what do you think could be done from the platforms to help us parents monitor or keep our kids more safe?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. So if anybody who works at any platform, whether it's a social media platform, a gaming platform, cable service provider, internet service provider, you can reach out to us at help@bark.us and talk about integrating with our API. We can we can work with your platform and outlet to analyze the content and conversations occurring on your platform and then surface issues so that you are doing your responsibility as a corporation to protect the children that are on your platforms. So that's one way that we work with the big tech companies and the big players in the space to protect children on their platforms. Unfortunately, not all of them are doing that yet. And so for those that are looking to protect, I don't know, their revenue, perhaps, I don't know, they need to do more, and they need to work with us. They need to open their API to Bark so that we can scan and protect kids and empower parents that are letting their children use these apps and contributing to their user numbers and their revenue each quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally love that. Circling back to personally identifiable information, what if our kid puts their information out there because they didn't realize that they shouldn't, or, maybe I fell down on the job and didn't really properly communicate to my kids or make it known how serious that can be. Um, is there anything that we can do to erase that or turn back time and get it from not being on the internet?
Yeah, there are definitely options, and it really just depends on what your child has put out there and where. If it's really egregious, there are actually reputation management companies that you can find online that their sole job is to just scrub the internet of any trace of you or your child. So
Wow.
I don't think most people need to go that far, but perhaps children that have taken nude photos of themselves and they've been distributed, that might be something you need to do. In addition to talking to local law enforcement and enforcing takedown notices from various sites that might unfortunately have that material. But backing up to some more minor things, if your child has a username on Roblox or PS4 or Spotify, make sure they're not using their full name, their first name, their middle name, their last name. Have it be something really ambiguous, like, Pac-Man 27, or you know what I mean? Like it just
Yeah.
needs to be non-identifying. And if your child has used something identifying, it's easy to change that. You can go into the settings, change the usernames. You can also encourage your children to not put their real birth date in the field. And I say that with hesitation because you don't want them to fudge about the year. But,
Right.
you can say, this company doesn't need to know you were born on this day and this year. Just let them know the year and period, the end.
Yeah.
Another thing is just to really emphasize that even if your friend on fill in the blank platform says they know someone, if you don't know them in real life, you have not met them, you have not seen their physical face, do not connect with them. Because that's one way that predators are trying to connect with their kids. Because think about it. You get a friend request, you go to the profile and you're like, oh, they're friends with Jimmy and Bob and Candace. They must be cool.
Yes, I
Yep.
can't tell you how many times on Facebook I have gotten a friend request. And I'm like, this is so weird. I don't know this person at all, but I know
Yeah.
30 people that are friends with them. And I have reached out to people and been like, do you know this person? Do you know this person? And it turns out nobody knows this person. And it's like, guys, what are y'all doing? This is
I know.
crazy.
Wake up.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. If you don't, yeah. I mean, look, I have added people that I don't know. My business is on Facebook and all that stuff. So I'm not here to say, like, don't ever add anyone that you don't know as an adult. Um, but yeah, like be a little more wise about it. um, okay, so is there a list of apps that we can be aware of that is updated frequently?
So the good news is that we have a team that is working around the clock to keep parents up to date on what they need to know and how they can deal with it. And so if you go to our website, bark.us/blog, you'll be in the know as soon as we're in the know about what you need to know about risky apps. They're always changing. The ones I tell you today will be different tomorrow, but there are some that stand the test of time. For example, Snapchat. It's been
Yep.
around a while. It's probably
Uh-huh.
not going anywhere. It's a risky app. One thing that's super risky about it is that there's this feature called Snap Maps. And if your child has it toggled on, anybody that they're connected with can see where they are in real time, their location. So much so they can actually zoom down to see what the physical uh, description of the building they're in looks like. That's creepy as heck.
It's so creepy. Why
I
would they
know.
make that? Why? Why do
Well,
we need to
because
know that?
well, again, it's social media. If you're an adult and you have the app and you want to see where your friends are and maybe go meet up with them, it can be fun. But it's also really scary. I just, I don't know.
Then
I don't want
text
everybody
me,
to know
don't
where I
stalk
am.
me.
I know.
I
It's the
think that's
hookup
weird. I
culture.
think that's really weird.
It is
Yeah.
weird. It is weird. And so that, that's one risky app. Also, just the nature of it being something that purports disappearing messages is not only dangerous, but it's also false in that, yes, the message may disappear, but that data, that image, that media lives somewhere on some server. It doesn't just go away forever, like poof. And not only that,
Right.
but you can take a screenshot. So you might send a nude to your boyfriend and yeah, it disappears, but he's taken a screenshot and he sent it to 5 of his friends to brag about his hot girlfriend. And boom, your reputation is damaged. So,
Right.
anyway, I could go on about Snapchat. Go to our blog. You can learn all that you need to know about it. Do you really want to let your kid have it? And if so, what you need to do.
Yeah.
Instagram is risky as well for some reasons that we already outlined, but the ability to receive DMs from anybody, even if you have a private account and you're not connected to them, is a problem. The intense content, the sexual content, the graphic content that exists there, the suicidal ideation and violent memes, they're prevalent and they're not being hidden from your children, and they're just a few clicks and taps away. Also, you can live video chat in app. So if you have your app open, all of a sudden you hear that ding, 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 like the FaceTime sound, and it's somebody calling you within Instagram, video chatting you. And with our undercover persona, she has opened it, and it has been, men masturbating.
Oh
And
my
I know
God.
you can't unsee that. You cannot unsee that. Um,
Oh my God.
I know, and
Sorry,
that's
I'm just
just
having like my brain's just exploding all over the wall over
I know,
here.
and honestly, I feel bad because now you can't unknow these things, and like I
No,
just
but
want you
that's
to.
good. We
I know,
need to
but
know what's possible so that we know how to, you know, uh, protect our kids from it. Oh, it's heartbreaking. I read that you guys helped law enforcement catch over 300 predators in 2019. When you guys refer these people that are doing these things to law enforcement, do you guys just like, okay, it's hands off after that? Do you guys follow up to kind of find out what happened, or do they follow up with you? Uh, how does this work?
yeah, so um, we do follow up because we care. We want to know, like, is this person in jail? Are they able to harm children anymore? Unfortunately, but understandably, law enforcement is not always able to. Usually, they're not able to give us that information because there's ongoing and open investigations, and just the justice process takes a lot longer than any of
So
us would really
long.
like. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a long road there. So um, when we are able to know, they'll tell us, but it's pretty few and far between. But we do follow up with the families. If we have alerted a family to a particularly problematic situation, we'll follow up just to say, hey, we're here for you. How's it going? Let us know if you need anything. Um, yeah, but it's really chilling.
Man. Oh, it's just, yeah, it's makes my tummy hurt. um Wow. Okay. Is there anything else you think we should be aware of, or anything else that you want to tell us about how to protect our kids?
Absolutely. And you just jump in when you need to cut me off because this
Absolutely.
is
You got it.
this this is something that I am just so passionate about, and I can talk for hours. So I just want to reiterate: please talk to your children about issues that are uncomfortable. and that potentially have stigma attached to them, whether it's sexuality or mental health, and much sooner than you thought you would, because they are going to encounter it. It's not a matter of if, but when. There are resources online to help you with that. Our blog is one of them, bark.us/blog. Go there, read everything you can, and be that safe place for your kids. In addition to that, there's this amazing Facebook group called Parenting in a Tech World. Just go to Facebook, search Parenting in a Tech World. It's a group of over 62,000 parents that are talking in real time about these issues with each other. It's like our conversation, but times 62,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, totally free resource. Also, keep in mind that the majority of the internet service providers, cable service providers, and devices that your children can access have built-in free parental controls that you can activate. It will take some time. It's a little bit cumbersome at some points, but it's absolutely worth it. Whether you enable a PIN to protect your children from problematic content on Netflix, to just shutting down access to Wi-Fi after a certain time in your home. It's really important that you do that. And then finally, I just want to reiterate to everybody listening that at Bark, we are a team of parents that built this tech to protect our own families. And so we unfortunately know things that we can never unknow now. And with that knowledge comes great responsibility. And that responsibility extends to keeping your family safer online. And so I would strongly urge anybody listening to get Bark for their family if their child can access the internet or technology in any way, shape, or form. They don't even have to have their own smartphone or their own social media accounts for you to need Bark. If they can use the family iPad and they're browsing or on YouTube occasionally, it might be good for you to just have that safety net, much like you have a fire alarm and carbon monoxide detector for your home. You need a danger detector for your tech devices that your family can access. So Bark has a free 7-day trial, so you can see how it works for you. And it's really easy to get started. You just go to bark.us. That's www.bark, like a dog barks when a stranger approaches your home, .us.
I love that. Let's go back real quick, because I wrote this down and I didn't get to it. We talked a little bit about the parental controls and monitoring,
Mm-hmm.
and you mentioned that Apple has the iOS family share.
Mm-hmm.
Does Android have anything comparable?
They do, and I'm so just proud of them because it's great. So my son has also had an Android smartphone. We chose the Palm smartphone for him for his first smartphone because it was tiny and it was cool. And Androids are safer for kids in general anyway. They're easier to monitor. And so
Oh,
if you
nice.
have,
I like to
yeah,
hear that.
yeah. So if you haven't gotten your kid a smartphone yet, go Android. That said, Google has a free parental control offering called Google Family Link, and it's wonderful. You can, again, restrict time, restrict the ability to download apps, restrict their access to explicit content, and it even tracks their location, which was key for me. I want to let my kid ride his bike in the neighborhood without following behind him in my car. Like a helicopter mom. And so it was great to be able to open the Google Family Link app on my phone and see, oh, cool, he's almost made it to so-and-so's house. I feel good about that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot because, when we were kids, it was just like, all right, cool, I'm leaving. Okay, be back by dark. And you had no
Bye.
idea where your kids were. It was fantastic.
I know. I'm in shock. I mean, I would leave my house and not come back for hours,
I
and nobody knew
know.
how to get in touch with me.
And like I would be in the neighborhood that was right next to us, and we would just be all over the place. Sometimes we got lost and had to figure out our way home. But our kids don't get those problem solving skills because we have to hover because people are crazy.
I know.
I know
Oh
it's hard.
gosh, it is
It's so
hard.
hard. How do we protect our kids from YouTube? Because my
No.
5-year-old is obsessed, and now she wants to, like, take pictures and videos of herself, and I always think they're so cute, and I wanna post them till I get about halfway through, and I'm like, "Girl, what in the wide world are you
I
doing?"
know. I know. And that's a really important point to bring up, is just the internet celebrity culture. Our children learn way more by example than by what we tell them. And so
Mm.
if what they see being celebrated and praised is people putting their best lives forward, their filtered lives forward, very sexualized positions and poses and outfits, and that's what we're celebrating, particularly women on, like, oh, you're so thin, or oh, your boobs are so big, or oh, you look hot, girl. Not like, you're so smart, wow, you're killing it in your career, you're such a kind person. You know what I mean? Like, we're praising our peers for their followers and for their content. And so supporting that culture uh, is a problem. I mean, my son will watch gamers on YouTube a lot, and I really try to talk to him about the fact that, like, they're just sitting in a room all day playing video games, and, like, yes, they're making millions of dollars, and that's awesome, but, like, where's the meaning in their life? And what are they going to do with that money? Hopefully they're giving back. You got to have those conversations. And to your point about YouTube is hard. It's really hard because they have an algorithm that feeds you content based on your preferences. And one wrong tap or one dark rabbit hole, potentially, of maybe it's like anime porn that you just thought was a Mickey Mouse video, and then there's things you can't unsee. And so
Right.
I don't recommend parents letting children use YouTube regular, or having unfettered access to YouTube, outside of the common areas of the home, and in close eye shot and earshot of a parent. You can use YouTube Kids. It's a little bit safer, and they are continuing to work to make it safer. And you can also let Bark monitor YouTube, so that you will get alerted when your child has encountered not only problematic content, but perhaps people are leaving comments on their videos that are not nice or are meant to groom them. And then you'll be able to step in and take action.
Yes. Okay. I love that you said Bark monitors YouTube too, because I think
Yeah.
that one's really, really hard for us to monitor.
Hmm.
Because 9 times out of 10, when our kids are watching YouTube, that's freeing us up to be able to do a few other things. So I love that you said that, and I love that we're having this really honest conversation about um, not only what's out there on the internet, but our roles as parents. And you know to be totally perfectly honest, a lot of the times, we give our kids our devices, or we let them watch TV, or we let them watch YouTube to give us a break. And it sounds like, I want to feel guilty about that, and I want to, because I know it's not all good for them. But at the same time, like, mom needs a break too. So I love that we have Bark as an option to be able to help us be better parents. Um, it's huge. So tell me, we didn't get to talk about this at all, and I know I've kind of kept you for a while, but I love the conversation where it's going. Is there anything that we can do to protect our kids from TikTok? I know that's kind
Ooh.
of a big one right now. So
Yeah. So, first of all, depending on how old your child is and your personal family dynamic of what you like for them to be exposed to, I'd say don't let them have it. You know, I wanted to kind of see what it was like, and I sat down with my son and we looked at it together. The first video that came up was a scantily clad young woman. I don't know if she was under or over 18, and she was uh, mimicking a rap song. And I love rap. Like, I was born in 1980. I grew up in the 90s. Like, I love rap. But the lyrics that she was emulating were certainly not anything I want my 11-year-old exposed to. Hopefully he doesn't even know what half that stuff means. But, F this, be this, just all the words,
all the
and
words.
all the words. And so it was sexual content, racist content, explicit content, profane content, right off the bat, right in his face. And if I wouldn't have been there with him, I wouldn't have known that he had seen that, unless I had Bark and Bark alerted me. So thankfully, Bark does monitor TikTok. That said, do you want your kid exposed to that? I mean, yes, there are puppy videos and fun viral challenges, but interspersed with that is just a lot of crap.
Right.
And maybe if your kid's 15 or 16, you don't care so much about that. And if they are really talented, they're a talented singer, musician, comedian, and they would like to start building their online platform and their portfolio, that's something to consider. You can get internet famous. But if your kid's 11 and 12 and they just want to be dumb and dance online, just have them record the video on their phone and share it with a couple friends.
Right.
It's my advice.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Actually, my kids and I sat down on the bed the other night and we got on TikTok for whatever reason. Oh, my daughter, she loves to dance, so I recorded her doing the get up. And so she wanted to know how many people liked it or saw it or whatever. So we started watching some videos on TikTok. And I had to scroll up a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times just because of the
Mm-hmm.
content or the music or the um just whatever it was. It was just all it seems like YouTube but a little more risque to me.
It
Um
is. It really
yeah.
is. It is just
Yeah.
bottom line. I don't recommend that app for
Okay,
kids. I
good.
just don't. Caveat: if you sit down with your child and look at it with them, and you talk about like, "Ooh, this is why mommy scrolled past that. It was a little too sexy," or "This is why we're scrolling past this one." Like, if you don't already know, like, did you hear what they were saying? Like, it's just not okay. And then you
Yeah.
land on something funny and entertaining and you both laugh together and you bond, and that's cool. You're in a way modeling for them responsible digital usage, because at some point you won't be with them and they are going to be faced with, what am I going to allow into my body? What am I going to allow my brain to process? They're going to need to be their own judge of what they filter. And by modeling it together, you set them up on a better path.
Yeah, I love that you said that. I actually have this conversation a lot at my house about protecting our energy and sorry, I'm going to get emotional.
No, it's
And just
okay.
protecting your heart
Yes.
and when I finally convinced my husband about 6 months ago that we stop watching the news in the morning. And
Ugh.
later he said, "Man, I go to school." He's a teacher. "I go to school in such a much better mood now, and people we just don't realize how much the things that we let into our brains and in our eyes and in our heart and our ears can totally affect us and our outlook on the world and our interactions with each other and things like that." And so I'm so glad that you touched on that because that's so, so huge. My husband watches Yellowstone and he's like, "Come on, come watch it with me." And it's a great show, but it's too much for me. And I
Yeah.
just, I loved the show when I was watching it, but I just finally had to be like, you know what? I got to protect myself. I got to protect my heart. I got to protect my energy. I can't let that stuff in because it's just going to sit with me for so long. And I just can't deal with that. So I'm so glad
Totally.
you touched on that.
Well, and it can desensitize you. I mean, I remember the first time I ever saw someone, get shot on television. Yes, it was not real, but it was very jarring. I was like, oh no, like that's terrible. And I knew it wasn't even real. But then, sooner than later, I'm watching Die Hard 3 and, laughing, not even being
Yeah.
affected by all the killing. And so you have to be careful.
Yeah. So, so glad you said that. Wow, this is so much great information. And I hope that parents take away a lot of good tips and tricks. But more than that, I hope that they realize that it's not for the world to decide what's good for our kids. It's for us to decide what's good for our kids. We know our kids better than anyone ever will. And most of the time, we know them better than they know themselves, too. So it's totally up to us to protect them. And I'm just so happy that Bark is available for us to be able to do that. I know it's only $9 a month. Does that cover um, all devices or is that per device? How does that work?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked. Bark is $9 per family per month, and that's unlimited connected devices, unlimited children, unlimited accounts. Um, we should
So
probably actually charge
reasonable.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. I
no,
agree. I
but
pay $15 for us to have the family plan on Spotify. Like,
I
this is
know.
huge. This is great.
Yeah, no, it is. I think it's pretty reasonable. If you're going to spend that money on a Netflix subscription, you should absolutely spend it on something to keep your kids safer online and in real life.
Totally, totally agree with that. And I love that it's unlimited kids, unlimited devices. That's just huge because it seems like right now everyone wants to milk us for every stinking dollar. So I love that it's all included. Thank you so, so much for being here. This means so much to me, and I can't wait to get other people listening to this and understand how vital this is to us raising good, loving, respectful, um, beautiful kids that are gonna be faced with these sort of things when they're parents too. So teaching them how to do it properly now is only going to honestly make the world a better place overall.
Well, we're only here for, who knows how long. Could be gone tomorrow, could be gone in 40 years. And so, really just committed to this mission of protecting children, educating parents, and empowering families to navigate this new reality that we're living in. It's not easy, but we have to do something about it. And so, that's what I'm committed to. And honestly, now that's what you're committed to just by having this
Absolutely.
podcast. And anybody listening right now, you absolutely can do something about it, even if it's just going to our blog and reading, or joining our Facebook group, or sharing this podcast. If you're listening to this podcast and it has moved you, share it. Share it with a friend. Share it with 5 friends. Put it on LinkedIn. I don't care, but share it,
Put
So
it on
every little bit
TikTok.
helps.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
put it on TikTok.
Oh my gosh, thank you so, so much. I truly, truly so grateful that I got to have you here and we got to talk about this very, very important subject. So thank you so, so much again, everybody. To Tanya Jordan, thank you again.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
Wow, wasn't that such a great episode with Titania? Did you get all your questions answered? If not, don't worry. You can check out more information from Bark at their blog. Just go to bark.us/blog. But guess what? Bark has offered 20% off their services just for my listeners. Use the code AUDACITY. That's AUDACITY. Audacity. You can use the code right now on their site at bark.us. That's bark like the dog, BARK.us. If you love the information and tips and tricks you're getting from the Live with Audacity podcast, please rate and review the podcast on Apple, send it to your friends on social, and tag me. I love seeing what resonates with you. You can be the first to know when new shows like this great episode debut by subscribing on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. Who doesn't love to be the first to know?